Welcome to another episode of SportsVibe, episode 109. We're still rolling on this podcast. Yeah, I mean, it's been quite a while since I started, obviously. Big changes are coming up ahead. But in the meantime, I mean, we're kind of shifting away from football and we have a busy episode. We're talking about the Super Bowl, we're talking about the Winter Olympics, we're talking about the NBA trade deadline, some NHL standings, some hockey talk at the break as, with the Olympics. So it kind of all comes together as you see, but just a lot of football to talk about. Obviously, we kind of previewed the Super Bowl in the last episode. We kind of did in some detail. I mean, I think we could start off there, and because we have a lot to get to, but I mean, we are 2 days out from the big game of all games, the Seahawks versus the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's hasn't been too much like anticipation for this one, like compared to other ones, because we had like the Eagles Chiefs, and it was like, oh, this Clash of Titans, and yeah, both of these teams are so good. So obviously, like the Chiefs won the first one, the Eagles, got their like back the second time, fortunately, and even some of the other Super Bowls have been very like, they've been very like Clash of Titansy, but this one is kind of feels like I feel like people kind of have an idea of who the better team is, and there just hasn't really been too much more analysis than that, like. I don't know, but I mean, like, we could dive into the game a little bit further. I mean, looking at like the Seahawks versus the Patriots, I mean, both teams have good defenses. New England, they have Drake May, they have Ramondre Stevenson, they have Stephon Diggs. They have a decent receiving core, Kayshawn Booty, but a decent O line. But I mean, I don't know. They don't look too impressive. Like Drake May, the way he played in the AFC Championship, the way he's played like all playoffs really it just has not really been the most like inspiring. And meanwhile, Seattle, like the way they played in the NFC Championship, like you saw what their defense can do. They could stop anybody. They could stop the run. Their secondary is really good. I mean, their offense, like their Kenneth Walker is an absolute beast as well. I mean, the receiving core. I mean, they have Jackson Smith-Njigba. I mean, Cooper Kupp is like their third best, receiver. They have Rashid Shaheed, a speedster. You have Sam Darnold, that quarterback who's having a career season. You have an explosive Seahawks offense who can run, who can pass. You have a really good defense. The Patriots, kind of a more. I feel like they're a good team too. Don't get me wrong; they've been a lot of teams to get to this point, but I just don't feel like they're like in the playoffs. I don't know. They haven't been the most. Their defense has definitely kept them in a lot of games and won them
They
games, but
haven't looked very convincing so far in the playoffs at all, really.
yeah, exactly, right? Like, I mean, I mean, they beat the Chargers on the back of their defense. They beat the Rams, not the Rams. They beat the Texans on the back of their defense. Stroud played pretty
No, they
bad.
they beat the Texans off the back of the Texans.
Yeah, off of CJ Stroud's like 5 picks. So like yeah, all of that. And then on top of that, I mean, the last one, I mean, the Denver Broncos game. I mean, it got basically it was snow, but even before that, it was Jarrett Stidham coming in there, making one good play, and then he had a really bad turnover. He had an interception that he just gift wrapped to Christian Gonzalez, just kind of threw that up in a late game. Not a lot of scoring, a lot of missed field goals. But again, they didn't look too impressive. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson, 25 carries for just 71 yards. I mean, Drake May, he had like I think one good throw in the entire game. Like he was 10 for 21 for 86. He as a scrambler, he looked pretty good, I will say. But I mean, he picked up a lot of first downs with his legs. He had 10 carries for 65 yards along with 28. I mean, Matt Collins had a couple big catches, like along with 31. So yeah, I mean they have a decent amount of weapons, but it just feels like they're kind of riding on the back of their defense. And I mean the Seahawks are kind of like a little bit of both. Their defense is very very good. Their offense is also very high flying. Obviously, as we've seen, they've lit up the Niners. In the playoffs. On offense, really. The first game was Kenneth Walker. The receiving game, was kind of a quiet one. The second one, we kind of saw the receiving game, JSN go off. We saw them win a shootout against Nakua and Matt Stafford, who won MVP last night. So I mean, yeah, Seattle, like they were cooking. Yeah, I mean, I think when you combine the really good defense with the good offense, I think that can outweigh a team that has a very good defense, but kind of like a so-so offense isn't hasn't really proven itself. So I mean, that's what I think. I mean, now the Seahawks are obviously the favorites in the game. I think it's I don't know. I think it's still a 4.5 point line. I might be wrong about that, but that's what it was when it opened. So I mean. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like it could be more than that, honestly. Like, I feel like it could be a double-digit game. I'm not going to say like a blowout, but I think the Patriots can hang in there. But I'd be very shocked if Seattle doesn't win the game. Like, I think Drake May's even been battling injuries and things like that this week. And even if I don't know, you know what I mean? It just doesn't look like they can
It
overcome.
doesn't look good, I would say, for I it doesn't look good for the Patriots really at all. I mean, they haven't done
Yeah,
anything very convincing this postseason, and I don't know. It's just when you look at the way that the Seahawks have won games and you compare it to the way the Patriots have won games, the Patriots have won these sloppy, ugly defensive affairs where neither team looks very good. And the Seahawks, like, you remember that 49ers game? They just grabbed them by the throat and tossed them around
literally
like school children. Like, I think that game was what,
41 to
42,
6, I think.
41-6. Like, my goodness.
Yeah,
When
and even the
first
game against yeah, you're right. I mean, the
when the
Niners
opening
team,
kickoff was brought back to the house, we were just like,
you're
"Oh, so
like, this
that's
is
how this is
over.
gonna go."
Yeah. But that Niners team was also, like, very banged up, but still, it was a very dominant, affair, like, in that
Yeah,
game as
but
well, so, I
it's
mean
not like it's okay. So my point is that Broncos team was very banged up, forced to start Jarrett Stidham, and the
right,
Patriots
and they still,
barely beat them. That
right? Like, that could have been
49ers
a game
team
where New England took complete advantage of them, but, they didn't because, I mean, Denver had a very good defense too. Drake May looked very
mhm,
shaky. They just did just enough. I think, the field goal kicking with Lutz, the decision making wasn't great from Denver's side in terms of when to go for it. Even that one
yeah,
field goal, I think that they could have made even with the win, like, New England got a hand on it, and who knows, maybe the win also pushed it, unfortunately. But, I think the Patriots player got a hand on it, deflected the ball. So either way, I mean, New England won a very ugly game. In the fourth quarter, it was like the one team couldn't run, or one team basically couldn't move the ball because the snow was in their face. The other team couldn't kick because the wind was in their face. It was like a complete mess and disaster. And meanwhile, like, okay, so the Patriots, they did enough to win. Obviously, I think I was rooting for the Broncos, but it is what it is. So the Bills, they lost and messed up their chance. The Broncos suffered heartbreak, and we're back to New England in the Super Bowl after all of that. So, but they don't look very convincing, like that's kind of the problem with that. And the Seahawks have looked so convincing. I mean, not only Seattle, I mean, not only the Niners, right? Because not every game is gonna be like that. But in a game where the Rams really came to play, I mean, they had, a pretty good defense as well. I mean, their offense was also cooking on all cylinders. That was like a real heavyweight. Like that was like, you can say that was the real Super Bowl, or in terms of that was the two best teams in the NFL, probably. The way the Rams were playing, they gave them everything that they had, so they just didn't have enough. You know what I mean? And these two teams have played three close games in the regular season. Seahawks won by 1 in Seattle. The Rams won by 2 in Los Angeles. And in the playoffs, the Seattle Seahawks, they won by 4. And part of it was a penalty that kind of kept the LA in the game. But even then, Seattle was able to hang on and deny them when it mattered most in the end zone. And yeah, I
right.
mean that's what playoff football is all about, right? So anyway, point is like that was probably the two best teams in the league, right? Like I don't see the Patriots being able to create those types of explosive plays to be able to keep up with Seattle in the Super Bowl the same way Los Angeles did, and even then they couldn't win the game. So I just don't really see like how New England can if they don't even have that kind of firepower. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely, and, I again, it's like I don't wanna, like, put this as, like, a foregone conclusion. Nothing is ever a foregone conclusion, especially in the NFL, but it's just if you're reasonably trying to ask somebody to break down the game and, make picks and do all this other stuff, and if you truly think about it, I don't know if I can find a really another an angle where the Patriots win other than the Seahawks self implode. That's it. That's the only real angle that I can find.
Yeah. I'm thinking back to the Seattle Seahawks versus, the last matchup where, I mean, not that one though. The one against the Broncos at MetLife where it was just complete one-sided game. Like, I really hope we don't see something like that. But I think there's an outside chance that we get something like that, honestly. Like it might just be like a route because that defense is good. The offense, it was like kind of the Broncos weren't a bad team, but like I mean, they were also kind of scraping by in the playoffs and everything, and completely turned on their head in the Super Bowl where you had the Legion of Boom, you had Russell Wilson, you had Tyler Lockett, you had like Marshawn Lynch, like the complete domination. Then the next year the Patriots beat them, I think, in the Super Bowl. So you know what I mean? Like it could go either way. But I feel like there's an outside. I think Seattle wins no matter what. I don't think we're gonna get Seattle Denver, but I think there's a chance that that could happen where the Seahawks just start piling it onto them and they just can't keep up because the defense is very good, the offense is very good. I don't know. I don't know what shape New England is going to be in, but I think their defense and their offense is good enough for in a neutral site, the weather won't be bad. I think they'll be able to hang in the game, because they've been playing in snowy and cold like Foxborough and Denver. You know what I mean? Oh, now they'll play in warm weather. We'll get to see like a good on good. You know what I mean? But I still think Seattle's gonna win, probably by double digits. Not too much more than that though. I think Patriots will be able to stay competitive in it, especially because of their defense.
Well, I don't know if it's. I don't know. Like, I think the Patriots are going to be competitive, but I still expect two touchdowns. A two touchdown
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah,
You know.
maybe. Yeah, it might be like 31-17 or like 34-17, like something like that. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see like, you know what I mean? Like I don't see anything in the Patriots that resembles like the Rams or the Bears even, you know what I mean, where they can like go and fight, like with a team like that. So, unless like, missing something, like that's probably how it's gonna go, unfortunately. So, maybe see this will be a good chance for Seattle to, get revenge for the Malcolm Butler interception. Marshawn Lynch at the goal line. I'm sure everybody's been thinking about that again for the last 2 weeks and whatnot. So I mean, like yeah, this will be a good chance for Seattle like get revenge on that whole thing that happened. And yeah, I mean, unless it comes down to something like that, probably like, like Seattle probably walks out of there with a W. The question is how big, how much fun is the Super Bowl going to be? I don't know. I mean, I feel like Seattle's been the best team in football. Patriots have really done a good job turning their whole franchise around. Last year they were like 4-13. I mean, I don't this quick of a rebuild. I feel like we haven't really seen like in the NFL in a long time. Like, that's pretty incredible. What they've done, obviously, but I just think they're going against a team that's just too much better than them. And it's, I mean, the Rams, I think, are here to stay as well. I mean, I saw like how close they were to being the Eagles last year, and I was like, this team's only going to get better. They get Devontae Adams, they get a better defense, Kyron Williams, but I think they also similarly ran into a team that was better than them. The Patriots, I don't really see as really that like neck and neck with them the way the Rams were. So for that reason, like obviously, I'm gonna go with the Seahawks to win this game and probably relatively easily as well.
We sound like the people on Shark Tank when they're comparing the business and talking about like, and for that reason, I'm out.
I'm out. Yeah, I just don't like. I'd love to like. I don't know. I've never
Oh,
really
wait,
liked the Patriots, but
we're
like I
talking about
mean,
NFL. I got to put my head on.
I've never really liked the Patriots. Like it's weird. Like because of the Eagles, I really did. I kind of did like the Chiefs, I guess. But like the Patriots, like I could never really get behind. But even though the Giants
Oh
beat them
no,
twice.
neither could I.
Yeah,
If you couldn't
so
tell.
Kansas City, I was very happy, and part of the reason, even before like the whole Eagles thing came into play, like I liked the Chiefs because they overthrew the dynasty, and then they became like the dynasty, and then and then the refs and like the whole thing, it just got last couple of years it kind of got oldish, and especially when the last season, it was just kind of like what's going on here, like they're barely winning this and that, and then then they implode to the Eagles, and that obviously like hurt, and then this season like everything falls off the rails. But then it's like when one dynasty goes down, like the Patriots just come back out of nowhere, and you're like, whoa, like like what's going on? Like so it's kind of funny, but I feel like a lot of the country is again going to be rooting for the Seahawks for that reason. So probably like I don't think the hate for the Patriots is going to be like that strong because this is a different Patriots team than that one. This is like kind of like the rise of like it's a different team. They're not the same. Like Drake May, you got like a lot of lovable guys on there, but at the same time, it's like what that franchise represents. Like I feel like a lot of people are going to be pulling for the Seahawks. Also, probably a lot of people are going to be pulling for the Seahawks because they don't really see the Patriots to have much of a chance in this one either. So it's just kind of like a little bit of both. But either way, like I said, I mean, I think I do got Seattle in this one. I mean, I think that's pretty self-explanatory at this point. I mean, Yeah, like, I mean, I think I might roll with, like, 34-17 if I, like, had to do, like, a score prediction on the game, but, for something like that, but that's what I'm gonna roll with here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the same thing, honestly. Um, I was actually gonna go 28-14 because I do have a little bit more respect for that Patriots defense than I do their offense. I was
Right.
even willing to go 24-10 at one point.
Ooh.
That's what
Yeah,
I
it could
was
be, right? Because the Seahawks defense is very good, New
that
England's
Seahawks
defense is very
defense is
good too,
very
actually,
good.
so they might even be better than the Patriots defense, but,
Yeah, but I also think, like, okay, so the strength of both teams is their defense, and we know that, you know?
Right.
That
Yeah.
Seahawks defense is very good, but that
Mhm.
Patriots defense stacked up against a still very good, but not as good as their defense, Seahawks offense, does
True.
that make
Yeah, that's
sense?
where, yeah. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe 34-17 is a little high, but I feel like Seahawks can score, like, in bunches, and I don't know, I feel like conditions might play into it, I don't know, we'll see. I mean, I might be right, it could maybe 31-17. I don't know. I'm seeing something like that. I feel like, Patriots are going to score a little bit more in this one in California. I think Seattle probably will score a decent amount too. So I think something like that is about right. Anyway, so I mean, yeah, it's been kind of a busy week around the NFL too because we had the NFL Honors Show yesterday. We had the Hall of Fame class revealed after a lot of discussion about Belichick being snubbed, about Eli Manning, especially about Belichick. And this year, at least they did get some people that I think were very deserving in that. Last year the class was very small. It was a lot of older players that nobody recognized, or at least the modern generation probably didn't recognize as many. So guys like, Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, Adam Vinatieri, not named this year. All four of those guys were named to the class. Very happy for them. These are guys that we grew up watching. Roger Craig as well. So you know what I mean. These are guys like we knew and saw as legends of the game. And Drew Brees, he's had a heck of a career. So seeing them get into the Hall of Fame, I think that was really cool. I think it was a deserving class. Obviously, what puts a black light on it is like Bill Belichick not getting in because of Spygate. Like that's I think really stupid, honestly. Like as much as you want to say if it's the wrong thing, like sure, yes, but like it's just really dumb to say like he should have to wait. They're not saying he shouldn't get in. They're saying he should have to wait like what? Like I don't even understand. Like I think it's probably just some personal stuff thrown in there, with Polian, but maybe they're doing it out of principle too. I don't know. Like
No,
I
no, no.
understand,
See,
but
like
I don't really.
that's the thing. We're like, okay, since he did that stuff, we're gonna hold Brady out too, right? Like we're gonna
Yeah,
hold
right. Because he
Brady.
was
Like we're
suspended
gonna
for
be
Deflategate,
consistent with
right?
everything,
Yeah, now they kind of have to, right? Like, or are they not? Or
Yeah, yeah, and make sure that when Sean Payton retires, we hold him out for a year or
or
two
Bounty
because
Gate.
of Bountygate.
I don't think
Give me
he's
a
gonna
break.
be like a first ballot anyway, probably. But like, I mean,
You know my point though. Like, give
yeah,
me a break with this stuff.
no, that was just
Like
complete BS, honestly. Like,
in all honesty, it destroys the Hall of Fame's credibility more than it destroys Bill's legacy. He's
right? Because
the
everybody
greatest
knows
coach
who
of all
Bill
time.
is, yeah. And if they really were strong about that, they should have suspended Bill Belichick at the time, like we said last
And
week. You know?
here's the thing, one of his game plans is on display in the Hall of Fame. One of his game plans, you
Yeah.
know? Like, come on.
Yeah. So I mean, I was thinking maybe it's because I don't know. Like I was thinking maybe it's also because like he didn't have a good record without like Tom Brady, this and that, like so stuff. But
Oh
even
my
then, like he's
god. I
done
mean, the
so
guy
much.
was 70 years old coaching without Brady. Give me a break.
Yeah,
You
that
wanna
that
talk
was
about his Browns teams before Brady came around had good records. He had good records with Bledsoe beforehand. Like, after
yeah.
Brady left, yes, they did not have great records, but they've had good records before. Like, come on. Again, give me a break.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's just yeah. I mean, Kraft also didn't get in. It's just, I mean, Belichick getting snubbed just is like very idiotic. I mean, like, and I don't know. I was like reading an article and I was seeing like, they're not really supposed to consider like the off the field, like stuff anyway. They're supposed to talk about like, their impact on the game, like what they've done. Like, so, if he doesn't get it, like, I mean, obviously he's gonna get in, but if he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer as a coach, like nobody should be like I think Tom Brady himself said that. So another thing I guess I thought was notable, like Eli Manning, Not only did he not get in, but I think he didn't even make the top 10, which shows like how far away he probably is from getting in. Like, it's going to be like a long, you know what I mean? I think we kind of have a better idea of like where like he stands on everything. Like he didn't really
Yeah.
make it as far in the process as we probably would have liked. And it's just like, I feel like this is going to happen like, like several more times probably. Like, I think eventually it will, but it's frustrating because his legacy like is kind of like on is hinging on his two Super Bowls, MVPs, playoff runs, which are insane. But the rest of his longevity, his stats, his 11th ranked in passing yards, passing touchdowns, Iron Man streak. I mean, so that's like a lot of good things. I mean, he played for a while. He won two Super Bowls, two MVPs, but he was always very good. He wasn't really like
Yeah, but he never won a
great. You know what
regular
I mean?
season MVP. He
Yeah,
never
he
won a
wasn't like
regular.
the best of the best, but he was also playing in the same era as Brady and Breeze and Roethlisberger and like guys like that. You know what I mean? So like, but he also like was very average at a lot of points. So I understand. Obviously, I think as a Giants fan, I'm a little bit biased, but like I mean, like I understand like what his case is, and yeah, I think eventually he will get in. It's just a matter of like when. So, he also like he finished with a 117 overall record. He led the NFL in interceptions in three times, which is just not like a good look, honestly. But yeah, it's just it's interesting, right? Like with Eli, but I don't know. I feel like the Giants as a whole, like they got really snubbed in this thing, like with Abdul Carter, with Jackson Dart not winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. Like I think that was something that should have definitely happened. I mean, to give it to Ted McMillan, like, great player and everything, but I don't know. Maybe I'm a little biased there, but I think Jackson Dart, he only got one vote in that process too, I think. Like, so, from my understanding. So, I mean, he wasn't even particularly close either. So I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just how bad the Giants were. Maybe it's because Dart didn't play the whole season. He didn't really play, he was injured for a while. He also came in late. But I feel like a lot of it is, like people just frown on like the Giants, maybe the Jets too, because they have like a bad record and stuff like that. So, like why would you like, you know what I mean? Like he won the fan like rookie of the year, but I don't know, you know what I mean? Like Abdul Carter also didn't play like that great, like for a while. He like until later in the season, he had a lot of hidden things. He had a lot of pressures and a lot of sacks. So like I get it, but like I don't know. It just kind of sucks in a way. Like, like I don't know. You know what I mean? Like one first place vote for the offensive rookie of the year. Like really? Like I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. It just doesn't seem right, But I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So it's just is what it is. But I mean, really, like, so I mean, Ted McMillan gets 41 votes, and like Jackson Dart's tied for fourth. He only gets one, like along with Travion Henderson. Like, it's just like, are we serious? Like, I thought like Dart was like people were saying like he was like in this conversation like all year. So like it kind of did like surprise me a little bit. I mean, Abdul Carter also played good, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Giants just like sometimes they just get screwed in perception because like they're the Giants and they have a bad record. But even other teams that have a bad record, like they kind of don't. You know what I mean? Like the Browns, like they also like are like a shitty team. But they had like the defensive rookie of the year, Carson Schweizinger, who I didn't even realize he was like in the race for that. But I guess he had a good year. Miles Garrett, obviously very deserving. He had set the sack record. I think what 22 and a half or 23, I think he said it was
Yeah.
23. That's insane. Brian Burns had a great season, but yeah, I mean Miles Garrett was like getting 5 sacks in multiple games. I mean, he was like a wrecking ball. Jackson Smith Najigba Offensive Player of the Year. I think that's well deserved. Honestly, like he led the NFL in receptions. He was like absolute beast this season. Mike Vrabel Coach of the Year makes sense. Going to the Super Bowl. Christian McCaffrey Comeback Player. Yeah, definitely deserved their. I saw his speech. Joe Tooney Protector. That was a new award that they gave out for offensive linemen. I think that's really cool. The unsung heroes of the game. And then Josh McDaniels, assistant coach, New England. So I mean, right? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think overall, I think they got a lot of it right. I mean, like some, yeah, maybe like not so much with the Giants, but I think overall they did a good job with the awards. It's always like it's a fun show and definitely gets everybody excited for the Super Bowl and yeah, to get to see all of that, all the hard work being rewarded. I think overall they did a pretty good job with it.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, to be honest with you, like I don't uh how do I mean, I guess, like, I am kinda surprised that a quarterback didn't win it for
Oh,
offensive
yeah,
rookie of
we
the year,
yeah, yeah,
but that's the only surprise, really. I mean,
right, like
nothing
a
everything else seemed to be in order.
receiver did. Yeah, I thought, like, a quarterback would, especially this year, there are so many, rookie quarterbacks, and, I mean, Dart was, like, way ahead
Yeah,
of,
but none of them were that great besides Dart.
yeah, that's true, and then Bobby Wagner winning man of the year, which is obviously, like, a big deal for his off the field, his work and everything, and, his speech, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, that was, yeah, I mean, like, that's obviously a big deal. I think one thing that we didn't really talk too much about was Matt Stafford winning MVP after, 17 years in the league. So that was, pretty cool. So he had his daughters up with him for the speech, and that was a very close race. He won by 1 vote over Drake May, and I think he was very well deserving for, the season he had.
Drake May was his like, come on.
Yeah, that was his closest competition, but I'm happy for Stafford. Like
That
he
should just
absolutely has
show
been
how
balling.
down that should just show how down the NFL is this year. Like, come on. Drake May was number 2. He wasn't even that great.
Right? That's what I'm saying, yeah. No, I mean, for the regular season, he was pretty good, honestly, like, but, like, not that good. Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause they're, like, beating up on, like, the Jets and the Dolphins and, like, even in they're scoring against pretty well against the Bills and the Ravens, like, they were doing like, Drake May was doing pretty decently, I would say, like, he was in the playoffs, he's, like, really been struggling lately, though, like, that's, like, what the problem is, but, yeah, I think with Stafford, I think he is very well, deserved for him to win the MVP. Yeah, I mean, it was a very close vote, the closest since 2003, but I mean, he is the oldest player to win his first MVP this year. Like I said, he brought his daughters onto the stage. I thought that was a great way. He also announced that he's coming back next year for the Rams. And again, the Rams, like I said, not a team that's been knocking on the door, knocking on the door. We saw it last year against the Eagles without that great of a roster. They had, some guys here and there. They added more to it and they became more competitive. And, I think they're
Well, I
putting the
think we
pieces
also have to
together.
just look at the fact, like, first of all, he has the opportunity to go out on top. He does. I mean, this team is very close to losing, to winning the Super Bowl. You know,
Yeah. You're into
this
losing the
this
Super Bowl, maybe, yeah.
this team
But
is
yeah,
very close to losing this to oh my god, winning the Super Bowl. Um,
yeah, I'll tell
my
you who's
god,
very close to losing the Super Bowl, like,
I think this hat is starting to seep into my brain,
the
so I'm just
Patriots,
gonna
but yeah, no, the Rams, I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, they
no,
have, like,
but, like,
Jared
if
Verse.
you're Matt Stafford and you have the chance to retire after winning a Super Bowl, getting your first MVP, and doing all that other stuff, you're gonna wanna do it then, you know? Like,
Right.
Peyton limped to his last Super Bowl victory, but he still went out a Super Bowl champion, no matter how you say it, you know? He went out
Yeah,
hoisting the trophy above his head.
yeah, exactly, right? So, I mean, yeah, no, I feel like, yeah, like I said, they were kind of putting it together last year. They had Nakua, they still had Cup. They had like guys like Jared Verse. They had this year. They have like Brain Fisk. They have a really good defensive line. I mean, this year they've kind of like put the top. They kind of went over the top. They got Devontae
All
Adams.
they need is Aaron Donald.
Stafford's developed. Yeah, Aaron Donald. He's gone. But yeah, I mean that's what they had last time when they won the Super Bowl. They have
No,
Kyron
I was gonna
Williams as
say,
the head
you
star.
talking about their defensive line, I said all they need is Aaron Donald.
Exactly, yeah. But, I mean, I don't know, I feel like, when they won the Super Bowl last time, they kinda went all in 2020, they really put all their chips on the table to build a super team that won it, and it was like, after that, like,
Well, I
people
feel
kinda
like a
got their
little bit
spirit. They've come back in, like, 5 years and into, like, at this time, like, a sustainable contender, and I think, well, Stafford should definitely give it one more run because, like I said, they were knocking on the door of the Super Bowl this year, against a very,
well, I
very good
also feel like they were just trying to, like, because I don't know what it is, but I feel like the Rams, them that year, were trying to prove or trying to, like, break a streak almost. Because,
yeah,
like, Matt Stafford had been the most underappreciated quarterback of all time. The Rams were always known as the team that got close and could never get it done. I mean, they had multiple Super Bowl losses.
right.
Oh wait,
True.
no, they had a win. No, what am I
Oh,
saying?
yeah, well, they were in against New England, they lost that one,
No, I forgot they beat Tennessee
yeah,
all
oh,
those
yeah,
years
the greatest
ago.
show on turf, Rams, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Well, even still, it just felt like I don't know. like that Super Bowl was so refreshing compared to
Oh,
the
yeah, the Rams versus Bengals, right? Because also, year the Bengals beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship
yeah.
game. That was a nice Super Bowl, like, yeah, and I kinda wanted Cincy to win because of, like, Joe Burrow and stuff like that, and,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
everybody was
but
rooting for Cincy. I mean,
yeah,
I
because
don't, if
LA
you're a
felt like a
Rams
super
fan,
team, I did like that they had Odell Beckham on there at the time and everything, but yeah, no,
Chiefs
Cincinnati,
fans
right?
still like Beckham. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we love Beckham. We want him back. Like, like there's been all this speculation on if he can come back. I don't know. I still think the Giants should go out and get like Carnell Tate or something like that, receiver. If they can. Like, I know we probably need more. Like, it would be great if they got like a defensive guy like Arvel Reese or like Caleb Downs who can like a hybrid, like play multiple positions. Because that the back of the defense needs an enforcer in like the worst way. But, like, it's fun to think, like, we could pair Neighbors up with, like, another demon on
You
the
need a
other side,
hard hitting
you know what I
safety. That's
mean?
what you need.
I think what we need is Caleb Downs, but I think what a lot of the fans are gonna want is, like, Carnell Tate, which either way, I think I'll be happy with it. So, it's like, do you wanna do the smart thing or the right thing? I don't think you can really go wrong. Yeah, but, I don't know. Maybe in some ways it's better that we didn't trade this pick because you know what I mean? I think, like, for a while, everyone was like, "Oh, we can get more assets." Like, now we can go out there and get the best player available, like, it becomes more
Well,
simple.
if you guys had the second overall pick or whatever it was supposed to be, right? If you guys had the
Yeah,
second overall pick, you could
yeah.
trade down to like number 6 and
And
still get
still
more
probably get the
assets.
player. That's what people wanted, like, unfortunately it didn't happen because, but I think they'll be alright because there's players available. I mean, yeah, I mean, it would be really nice to have a opposite receiver, a receiver opposite Malik Neighbors, right? That's, like, really, really good. So,
The only reason why you won't be all right is that you're the New York Giants.
I know, it's like you could add, like, whoever and, like, they'll still be bad, which is it was kinda what we saw last season, right? Like, Dart stepped up, we had Abdul Carter, really good D-line, still things just, like, were, like, really horrible. Like, it always feels like that's how it is with us. Like, you could have the best offseason, you can get, like, a Debo, and they had, like, an A-plus offseason, in my opinion. They got the right quarterback, they got the right defensive guy, they got the right free agents, the line was better this season, and it was still, like, Wan'Dale Robinson was, like, a beast even with the injuries, and, like, they still did so bad. So it's just like, game management wasn't good, coaching wasn't good. Hopefully this year now with John Harbaugh and everything, all the changes they're making, a lot of that side of things could change, which I think
Yeah,
will
so
be good.
John Harbaugh, he's gonna take you all the way to the playoffs just to lose in the divisional round.
Damn. Like, for us, I don't know. Maybe that's not such a bad thing because the Giants have been like nowhere near. So
I mean, in 2023 you got there.
that's true. Under Dable the first time around. Yeah, that was a fun season. But we want something like more sustainable, you know what I mean? Like that's what Harbaugh brought to Baltimore for years and years and years. So by the way,
Yeah.
Tomlin still hasn't been hired by anyone yet.
I don't think he's looking to get hired.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah, that's interesting actually. I think he just wanted to take a break, so or maybe he's done. I don't know, but anyway, yeah, so that's kind of like our NFL talk segment of this episode. Definitely very excited about the big game on Sunday. I know we all are. So, another big event is actually already started. There's already been events going on in the Olympics. The opening ceremony is today. I think it's going to be at 12, like local time, but they're going to stream it on NBC again at 8. So, definitely check that out. It's always a lot of fun. But in terms of the NHL, or well, not the NHL, in terms of the Olympics, I mean, obviously, like the big event for us is going to be the ice hockey, especially this year with the NHL players in the lineup.
Oh yeah, baby.
For the first time since 2014, it's going to be pretty exciting. So in Group C, the men's team will take on Latvia, Denmark, and Germany in
I do know
preliminary.
that the men's team already beat, I want to say, the Czech Republic. I don't
The women's
know.
team beat the Czech Republic yesterday, actually.
Oh, well, it was the women's team. Oh my
Yeah,
bad.
5-1. So that was a pretty good one. Maybe we could reverse the order and we could talk about the women's team first because
Well, to be
they're
fair,
also
I
one
thought
of
it was the
the
men's team. So
yeah, they're one of the best programs also in the sport. They've always kind of battled Canada for Olympic gold. I think they've kind of fallen short like a few times recently in that. They've also won a few medals. So I mean, like
it's
yeah,
also it's always us versus Canada.
it,
Like
it it's always yeah. it's always yeah, US versus Canada, the top of in both men's and women's hockey.
Well, to
So I
be fair,
mean,
Russia and Finland will play themselves in there a lot, but
that's true,
it's
yeah. I
always
don't think
most
Russia's
fun.
actually gonna be in the thing because I was checking the roster list and, like, they weren't there, so maybe they're still in, like, suffering a ban or something from whatever, which
Yeah,
is
maybe.
weird, but recently, though, I think the US has been kinda had the upper hand over Canada, which has been in women's hockey, I was seeing, so I think they beat them, like, 6 times in recent competitions, which is a good sign because I think for a while, Canada was, like, always beating them, you know what I mean? So, like, I mean, they have, like, some really good players like Hillary Knight, who's been, like, legendary forward. They won the Olympic gold in 2018. Alex Carpenter, Megan Keller, Kendall Coyne Schofield. I mean, they have, like, a whole roster of, like, like, really elite athletes. Like I said, beat Canada 6 times recently. They got off to a great start beating Czech Republic, 5-1. So, women's team definitely, exciting too. I mean, hopefully they go out there and get the gold. Yeah,
I do
like
know that that there's a women's team that operates out of New Jersey.
a women's hockey league,
Siren.
right?
Yeah, the women's hockey league. They operate out of the Prudential Center. I think I
Interesting.
think they're called the Siren. I could be wrong, but
The Siren, yeah, maybe, yeah, the PWHL. Yeah, it's like when you think ice hockey, you don't really think of women's hockey, like, unless you really follow it, like, but
yeah.
it's really exciting, though. I mean, they play just as hard, like, all that good stuff.
Well, to be fair, we also watch women's basketball, and we might get laughed at for that, but, like,
Yeah,
sports is
right?
sports. Football's football, hockey's hockey, basketball's
Right?
basketball. Who
Whoever's
cares?
playing it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, women's basketball is, just as high level as maybe not just as, but you know what I mean? It's as in some ways it is. Like, I mean, a lot of the women like are better shooters than the men. Like so many of the you know what I mean? Like because they have to rely on things like that like a lot more since they're missing like the higher end of athleticism to dunk. Like you'll be surprised how many like female basketball players can shoot, how many of them have post moves, like all those like little things, like it's a clean game. Like if you ever, you watch like the WNBA, you watch college women's basketball. I mean, they can ball, they can absolutely ball. It's a little bit of a different game than the men's, but it's still, they have sometimes some of them have like those, you know what I mean? You have like a lot of like girls who could shoot, like as like
Oh,
closer to the
yeah.
high end of like Steph Curry than like, like and sometimes in the NBA guys like like aren't like you know what I mean? Nowadays they kind of are, but like they have to kind of rely on things like that. So because of that, it's a very technical game, like and especially with
Yeah,
like
they have to
Caitlin
rely
Clark and
more on, like, the mid-range shots
yeah,
than
the mid-range
going for
shots,
a
like,
layup.
yeah, like layups, like, like things like that, getting to the rim. So it's just, yeah, no, don't get me wrong. And ice hockey is it's the same thing. It's as competitive, it's as fiery, it's as exciting, So in terms of that, I mean, with that being said, I mean, the main show, obviously, the men's, especially with the NHL in it, this time around, I was seeing like the Devils, a bunch of players are on different, different men's teams and stuff like that, actually. So because they have like Jesper Bratt, who's from Switzerland, they have, Jack Hughes from the United States, obviously. They have, you know what I mean? They have like a bunch of, so they're all with their like Olympic flags and. I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool, but yeah, very diverse team. Like I think they have like like one person from like almost like most of the teams in the competition. For Nico Hischer from Switzerland, yeah. Jesper Bratt from Sweden. Obviously he is from the United States, so like they kind of have that diversity. But looking at like the men's roster for the U.S., I mean you have a loaded group. So I mean it's gonna be a lot of fun. I mean you have guys like Jack Eichel from Vegas, you have Jack Hughes from the Devils, you have Austin Matthews from Toronto, you have the Kachuk brothers, Matt Kachuk, who he's been really great. Obviously you have Brady Kachuk, you have Vincent Trocheck from the Rangers, you have Quinn Hughes from the Wild on the defenseman side, you have other defensemen like Jacob Slavin from the Hurricanes, Noah Hannafin from Vegas. The goalie trio is one of the best. You have Connor Hellebuck from the Winnipeg Jets, Jake Ottinger, Dallas, Jeremy Swayman, the Bruins. I mean, anyway, my point is the squad is very loaded. They really, brought the best to the bunch, and I'm really excited to see how this lineup, works out. All these guys are from different NHL teams, but we kind of got a taste of in the Four Nations Classic last year what U.S.
Oh,
versus Canada, right? Like U.S. winning the first one, Canada winning the second one. It was U.S. winning on Canadian turf and Canada winning on U.S. turf, and the booing the anthem, like all
I
of that kind
don't
of
I don't
added the
understand
fighting,
I
like
don't understand how that whole played out, though, because Canada ended up winning the championship, but we beat them, so I don't understand how that
I
all
think they
played
won
out.
in the group stage of the matchup, but since they were the two best teams, like they played the final, and then Canada
Oh,
won in
okay.
Boston. But because I think all the tension was going on where the people were booing the Canadian anthem or something like that, right? And then or something like that, and then Canada was booing the U.S. anthem because of I guess like geopolitical tension. That was I don't really want to get too much into that, but it resulted in a huge fight on the ice, and it was just like everybody was like singing, playing Free Bird, and it was just I don't know. Getting this, we'll get to see all of that again with the the NHL.
Oh,
The I mean,
fly
yeah,
high,
free bird,
free bird, yeah.
dude. It was sick, right? Like all that stuff is just just makes you want to root for the states. So I mean, yeah, it's gonna be really cool with NHL rosters, obviously. Obviously the big competition here is Canada. So I mean that's. I mean, other teams have like players here and there, like Draisaitls on Germany. Finland, I think is going to be pretty good. Like the Four Nations team, Sweden's going to be pretty good. They have like a whole, a lot of pretty much everybody on their teams also from the NHL. I mean, you got Jesper Bratt, you have William Nylander, you got pretty much everybody from the goal. Jacob Markstrom, the Devils goalie, also over there on their side. But I mean,
So
yeah,
what
they
I'm
have
hearing is that they're not going to be very good.
they have a full roster of Gabriel Landeskog. They have a full roster full of NHLers in Sweden. I think Finland is the same story, if I'm not mistaken, too, where they have a full roster full of NHLers as well. So I mean, yeah, they do actually. Pretty much like except for one player, they have their whole roster is also full of NHL players. They have Sebastian Aho, they have Eric Halla, they have Lehkonen from the Avalanche, they have Lundell from and Listerainen from the Panthers, and Mikko Rantanen from the Stars. These names should be pretty familiar if you follow hockey. So yeah, I mean they got a lot of yeah. So it's basically Finland, Sweden, Canada, and the States. And Team Canada, obviously they're very those are the main contenders. Obviously, these other teams are probably going to be in the mix, but those are probably going to be the big ones. And looking at Team Canada, you have the former number one pick Macklin Celebrini from the San Jose Sharks. You have Connor McDavid, what he could do for the Oilers. Sam Reinhart for the Panthers. Sam Bennett also from the Panthers. Of course, you have Sidney Crosby, the great. I mean Wayne Gretzky is the great one, but Sidney Crosby's been one of the best in the league for the longest time. You have Nathan McKinnon. You have Brad Marchand. You have Mitch Marner. Those are just like all the forwards. You have Nick Suzuki, you have Tom Wilson. Then on defense, you have Drew Doughty. You have guys like Cale Makar. You have the goaltender trio. You have Jordan Bennington from the Blues, Darcy Kemper the Kings, Logan Thompson from the Caps. So the Canadian lineup also very loaded. Especially offensively, you're looking at guys like Bennett, Crosby, McDavid, McKinnon. So it's going to be really exciting. I mean, that's going to be a very good team. The United States also has a really good team. They have a lot of good attackers, a lot of goal scoring as well. When you have Eichel and Hughes, and you have the Kachuk brothers, you have Austin Matthews. So it's going to be definitely like the fight of like. I think those are probably we're probably going to get a medal final with those two teams. Probably going for gold again. And yeah, I mean, this is where it's at, right? I mean, this is what you want. This is why we brought the NHL players to the Olympics so you could see the best on the best. And I'm really excited for this. I mean, Canadian team looks really good, but so does the U.S. team, and I can't wait to see how this whole tournament like plays out.
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's going to be very exciting. Um, I'm s- Forgive me, I am following some other developments that are happening on the Rutgers side of things. If I'm not looking like so locked in, I'm putting my Pete Thamel notifications back on
Mm,
because
it's a good
there
idea.
appears to be white smoke coming from the Hail Center, as they say. But yeah,
Yes.
so it's going to be very interesting. It's going to come down to U.S. and Canada. It really is just makeshift NHL. It's almost like kind of like an NHL like Pro Bowl or NHL All Star game,
I
essentially.
know.
If you
It's
think about
basically
it.
like the Four Nations Classic. We're gonna get to see that, and with more teams in it. But yeah, it's basically like an all-star kind of thing in a way. So may the best team win, I guess. I'm really excited about all that. It's gonna be really fun. But there's a lot more than just hockey. Obviously, that's like the headliner of the Winter Olympics for a lot of us. But there's so many other sports that are really, like figure skating. The U.S. is very good at that. Whether it's men's, women's, mixed. Like it's very acrobatic, artistic. Like it's really cool to see them do all the tricks. I'm a big fan of the X Games, so anything like skiing, snowboarding, doing tricks, even the racing stuff. Like we're gonna get to see Lindsey Vonn compete for, after tearing her ACL, which is gonna be insane, going for gold. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, some other medal contenders. We have, yeah, like I said, Lindsey Vonn. We have Jordan Stolz and others in speed skating, Jesse Diggins in cross country, Ilya Malinin in figure skating. I know there's other people as well, but those are just some of the names I saw from, that are considered top contenders in, for the US and the other sports. But I don't know. I mean, what sports are you looking forward to? I'm definitely looking forward to like those X Games type sports, figure skating, even like the more niche ones. Like I'm excited to see some curling, some bobsleigh, definitely bobsleigh. That's gonna be like that's so much fun to see, right? You like get into like a thing and you race and like that's always been one of my favorites. So I don't know,
You
you
ever
know what I
watch
mean?
that
Like
movie about the Jamaican bobsledding team? You ever
yeah,
watch
right?
that movie? That's a fun movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Honestly, I always find like skiing to be the most relaxing to watch
Yeah.
because especially when they're going down the slopes and they're hitting the ridges. I forget the name of the little like ramps that they use to slow down. Um, yeah. But
Right.
yeah, those little ridges that they hit on, like watching them go down, it's always so cool to me. I'm gonna be probably keep my eyes out
Like
for the
alpine skiing.
skiing
Yeah.
competitions. But I will say, you know, I will admittedly not be watching every contest in the Olympics. However, I will be follow like most Americans, I will be following that medal tracker, and if we don't win, I'm gonna be mad.
Yeah. Absolutely. Keep in
You
mind,
know,
we have 2 years till the Summer Olympics come to the States, and,
and
we'll get to see
that's
that.
where we shine because I'm pretty sure we're first place in Summer Olympic gold and third
Yeah,
place in
I
Winter
think
Olympic
so, because
gold.
we're good at, like, the major sports, like track and field and swimming, where it's, like, so many medals come from, and even, like, every niche sport, like, the US is pretty good at. All the team sports the US is very good at, especially, like, basketball and stuff like that, so, yeah, they kinda make the best out of, like, getting into team sports. They get, like, swimming and track and field they're very good at, so the US does really well in the summer. In the winter, they do decently well too, but they're like a little bit less, because it's not so much of a cold climate, I guess, is but they still do pretty well in like a lot of the things. Like all these sports, like curling, US will be pretty good at, figure skating, they'll be pretty good at, hockey, they'll be very good at. You know what I mean? There's obviously going to be medal contenders like throughout the board in a lot of these other sports. They have like like Lindsey Vonn in alpine skiing. They probably have some of the best snowboarders. They have the best long distance. You know what I mean? They have like contenders in all these events, but in terms of like medal hopes, they might not win the table, but they also might. It depends on how, I guess if they can really get the medals in all the events that they're competitive in, I guess. That'll kind of put them over the top, but it's not as dominant, I guess, as Summer Olympics. Because Summer Olympics, you feel like the US is gonna win the table like every single time. Otherwise something's gone
They pretty
horribly
much
wrong.
do essentially.
Right? It's usually the US versus China, and then I think the US will, like, get ahead of them because China will win, like, a lot of the earlier events, and when the team sports start racking in, like, I think, like, the US will kinda overtake them
Isn't there a
towards the end of
basketball
it.
Olympic event?
Oh, what, badminton?
Basketball.
Basketball? Yeah, in the summer, yeah, there is.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah, there
figured.
is, yeah, that's one of the main things, like, you saw, like, Steph Curry and all of that, and LeBron James, you saw that, against France, right, like, last time?
I didn't know that the United States was ahead by so much in the Summer Olympics because it's like I keep reading, like I decided to just look up like all-time medal counter, and I keep
Yeah,
seeing stuff like United States 1,105 gold medals, and then
Jesus.
second place the Soviet Union 395.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like the US just like produces the best athletes, I guess. It's a sporting culture, and like I said, like they win like a lot of like where there's so many medals available is like track and field and swimming and sports like that. They win those, and then the team sports they'll probably win like in volleyball, they'll win in like basketball, they'll win in what I mean, like all those things like will add up as well. So like that's where like a lot of it comes from, I guess. But certain sports the US is very like untouchable in, I guess. But yeah, winter not I don't think winter is like so lopsided because they're competitive in a lot of things, but they're not like completely dominant in it. But they definitely have a lot
Yeah.
of like they definitely have a lot of athletes across like different types of sports. Like, like all the niche sports US will probably be pretty good at. And then all the team sports they'll be pretty good at too. So that leaves you, and the individual sports. So that leaves you in a pretty good spot, I guess, is what I'm saying. But whether it's figure skating, curling, especially ice hockey, skiing, snowboarding, chances are like the US will have like at least a medal contender and things like that. And so speed skating, like there's just so many sports that are not going to be on the TV like most of the time that you're going to get to really enjoy in the Winter Olympics and Summer Olympics. And in the summer I'll be watching rowing, I'll be watching swimming, I'll be watching like archery, I'll be watching like sports I don't get to see very often, like beach volleyball, or I'll be watching, you know what I mean? Like I think the next one they're bringing in, flag football, they're bringing in cricket, like they're bringing in a lot of sports that are like going to be a lot of fun. And I think baseball's in it. So yeah, I mean, like those niche sports are like really fun to watch. Like, I like table tennis or like, things like that, right? Like I like to watch like all the
Okay,
ones I
so
don't get to see very often, I guess.
I just double checked. The US is in the lead for the Summer Olympics by like 800, and they're in second place for the Winter Olympics by like 30.
Hmm. Who's that had Canada?
So, Norway.
Norway. Yeah, see, they're also very like they have like yeah, they're very good at like skiing and like those types of sports because it's cold up there, you know what I mean? So
It's
it's
what
just
they
like one of
do.
those yeah, it's one of those things. But anyway, I guess moving forward over to the other side of things, the NBA trade deadline was pretty recent, was concluded yesterday. Some of the big moves, obviously, like I think the biggest one was James Harden going from the Clippers to the Cavaliers, joining Donovan Mitchell. They traded Darius Garland back to Los Angeles. So obviously, like I don't know. I mean, at this point, it just feels like James Harden just wants out wherever he goes. Like it happened with the Rockets, the Nets, the Sixers, the Clippers. It's like that video of like you could do anything for James Harden and give him who he wants. You can give him the point guard spot. You know what I mean? You can, pair him up with Daryl Morey. You can give him whatever co-stars he wants. Like you can make exceptions for him, let him travel on his own time. Like, it just like never works out. Like it's always like, I want to go somewhere else. I want to go somewhere else. I want to chase this, that. You know what I mean? So
Right.
again, like, LA maybe it looked like he was kind of settling down a little bit, but now, you know what I mean? Like they had a really good roster with Kawhi Leonard. It just felt like the Clippers were never healthy, and even when they're healthy, they're never good enough. So it's just like, they're kind of like in a murky spot, like in the NBA. So so anyway, he goes to Cleveland where there's a lot of potential there. You got Donovan Mitchell, you got guys like that and stuff. So I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of potential. So we'll see how that goes, I guess. But anyway, I mean that was like obviously the big move. In
Yeah.
terms of in terms of trade deadline. Also, you have Nikola Vucevic going to the Celtics. With the Bulls bringing in Anthony Simons. That's a big move. I saw Ron Harper Jr. made his first NBA start, which was pretty exciting the other day. Played very well
He
for
played very
Boston.
well. That defense on
Very
Kevin
yeah,
Durant was
almost had a
legit.
double double, and he played good defense on Kevin Durant. Then you have Jaren Jackson Jr. being traded to Utah from Memphis. The big non-trade was Giannis staying with Milwaukee. There was a lot of
Yeah,
discussion about
that one
him,
was a surprise. I won't even lie. I
right?
thought for sure he was gone.
Everybody thought he was gone for real this time. Like he really but he ended up staying. So there's a lot of smoke on speculation. I don't know. That's a question. Is he going to be a free agent? Like who's going to be a suitor for him? Is it going to be like more contenders like the Knicks? Teams like that, or the Nets have been like weirdly in this race for like the longest time, which doesn't make any sense to me because their whole idea is to rebuild for like 10 years. So like I don't know how the two really go together at this point. But I guess their assets they could make a play for them if they want to accelerate things. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what the plan is with them. I don't know what his market exactly looks like, but it feels like this conversation's been going on for like 5 years now, and I'm honestly just like kind of tired of it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it even makes sense for like obviously you might go to like, somewhere like the Lakers or the Heat or New York, like the Knicks, or I don't know if it really makes sense for him to go to like the team like the Nets if they're rebuilding or if they're not. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. It just doesn't fit. But one thing that the Nets did was Cam Thomas. Well, they released him, I should say, or they waived him. There's a lot of talk about trading him for assets. A lot of talk about are they going to keep him? Is he going to be a free agent? They didn't sign him in the offseason. Him and Michael Porter Jr. are kind of like the two scoring guys on the Nets. So I don't know. What does this mean for Brooklyn? Are they trying to make a push for Giannis? Or are they trying to just like get rid of Cam Thomas? Like, does nobody
I
want him because he
really
doesn't
wish I
play
knew what they
defense?
were trying to do. I have no idea what's going on, to be
They're
honest
just
with
blowing
you.
it up, I think. I think they just
Yeah.
wanna lose is what I think it is, and also, I don't think they see Thomas as a long-term fit for the franchise as good as he's been because they would have extended him or something, but it's disappointing, like, like, there's nothing to look forward to. It's been Cam Thomas that's been fun to watch, and, like, I'm gonna really miss seeing him. Like he's a scoring guard. That's what he does, right? Like, that's yeah, he might be a little bit selfishish, but like it's basketball. And who the heck do the Nets have anyway that like he needs to be passing it to? Their whole roster is like pass first players right now. Like, I mean, I don't get it. Like, I don't really understand like, what the problem is, honestly, like, with him, but anyway, yeah,
It's
but
frustrating. It's so
yeah,
frustrating.
nobody likes like, I don't understand, but I hope he goes somewhere where he's valued, you know what I mean? Like, 'cause it's ridiculous, like, the way he gets treated in the NBA, like, and by his own team, like, like, I don't get it. Like, yeah, sure, there's been some injury concerns, there's been, mainly the big knock on him is he's just a scorer, he doesn't pass, even though his assist numbers have been going up, his defense has been getting better. I understand, but, like, I mean, like, someone like him should have a chance on any team, like, but yeah, I mean, I wish him the best. I hope he goes somewhere where he can get good money, he can contend because I mean, him sitting and dwelling in Brooklyn, like, it's just not doing any good for him. And clearly, the Nets don't really see his value. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like it kind of had to happen. Like, I don't know. So, yeah, like that's my thoughts. Like, I'm a little bit sad about it, but at the same time, like, yeah, I mean, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, why not, right? Like, why not? Maybe they'll focus on Michael Porter Jr. He's been playing out of his mind lately too. So, maybe they'll try to build a team around him. Maybe they'll try to enter the Giannis sweepstakes. Maybe not. I mean, I think there's a good chance they end up with a high pick, but this is going to take a while. But I think once it's all said and done, the Nets will be in a good position because they have so many picks over the next few, like, like 7 seasons or something. Like they could turn things around and become like a contender, I guess. It'll just take a while. It's just, you know what I mean? I think that's kind of the problem. In the meantime, it seems like we're going to be sentenced to like seasons of just like misery and like not playing well and like it's just gonna. What are we doing? Like, like it doesn't even make any sense. Like, can we
I
like?
love
I
the
wish I like knew more about like what the Nets were trying to do, but it's just 90% of people around here are like Knicks fans, and the people who are Nets fans, everybody's just depressed and doesn't care because like they're playing so bad, like So like what the
I
heck? And
love
and they're
how I
getting rid of players like Cam Thomas, who's basically like the only good player, one of the only good players on the team. On top of that,
I love how I know because when you're breaking down a situation and breaking down like how frustrated you are, you start like you start off by explaining yourself very like very calmly, very thoroughly, and then it just goes like, then what are we doing here?
yeah, because it doesn't like make any sense to me. Like I'm like, what are we? I don't know, man. Like it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's like it doesn't make any sense. Like, are we gonna just be bad? Then why is Giannis like being thrown in every time? Like it doesn't make sense. Like on one hand, we want to have like a 10-year rebuild, and then the other hand, we're like, oh, we'll just get Giannis and we'll get Dame Lillard and everything will be fine. Like what? Like make up your mind. Like we're not gonna get these guys. Like maybe they will. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to make space for someone like that. Who knows? Maybe they can. I guess those are the two options. Either they try to get a superstar and be like in the middle, or they try to do this like the right and long way and like take time and get like bring things up from the ground up. In the meantime, they're just going to kind of be in the tanking race, I guess, with the other
We're
50
gonna get
teams.
James Harden back and then try to build around him.
Yeah, speaking of bad teams, like the Wizards traded for Anthony Davis, which I thought was a bizarre move as well, and Chris Middleton is now on Dallas. So basically the
Don't
Mavericks
they
traded
also have?
Luca
Didn't they get the guy from the Hawks too?
to Trey Young.
Yeah,
Wait, they did.
didn't they?
I think so, yeah. Oh, yeah, they did, yeah. The Wizards traded, yeah, they did, right, 'cause he wanted out, he went to Washington and, yeah, and then AD came. So they got rid of Bradley Beal and Kuzma. They ended up getting Chris Middleton. They ended up getting Anthony Davis. They got the Mavs got Middleton. The Washington Wizards got Anthony Davis. They got Trey Young. So it looks like the Wizards are like making moves, and that's a team that's like been like where the Nets. They've been kind of like the same team, like rebuilding. So they're making their moves.
They're
I don't
they're
know.
they're
Yeah.
they're going for an all-in push.
Apparently, but it's bizarre because now, like, I mean, yeah, that was a weird deal. Like, it's just like, you know what I mean. So the Wizards ended up getting Anthony Davis mainly and D'Angelo Russell, guys like that. The Dallas got guys like Middleton, Tyus Jones, A.J. Johnson. It was like a multiple team deal, but the main move, obviously, like Davis going to Washington, Middleton, getting going to Dallas. So it's basically like you traded Luka Doncic for Chris Middleton, if you really think about it, because now like AD's now in Washington, so it's just it's bizarre, right? You get Anthony Davis, like Nico Harrison's so high on him. He's like, oh, he plays defense apparently, even though he's injured like 20 games a year or like 50. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like really bizarre. And then they fire Harrison, and then they're like, we don't want to do any more business with the Lakers, and like I'm like, okay, like what does that even mean? Like you
We
already
don't
like
want to do any more.
like we got snubbed, like we're never gonna do a business with them again. I'm like, okay, like cool, like you already traded your best player for like a
Yeah.
guy who's injury prone. Like, I mean, ridiculous. Anyway, so then they trade that guy to Washington. Like, I don't know what they're doing. Like, like this doesn't make any sense. Like, maybe they're just trying to build around Cooper Flag, I guess is their next idea. You know what I mean? Which is not a bad one. They got so lucky to get Cooper Flag after that. Like after the
Oh
Luca
my
trade. Like
god.
they got so lucky. It was so funny seeing like Nico Harrison in the front office like celebrating, like throwing a party. I was like, they better have, otherwise he would have probably been fired. Like, you know what I mean? So and then people were saying, well, maybe they did that so they could get the number one pick and like the lottery's rigged. And like it was like the whole thing was such a mess with the Mavs. But now they have Chris Middleton on their team, who's a good player. I've always liked him. He's a 3 level scorer. But I mean, really, like this is like the idea now. Like, I mean, like, are we serious? Like, I mean, this is just like it's so bizarre. Like, like what's going on with Dallas. So now you get rid of Luca for Davis. Now you get rid of Davis for Middleton. Like, cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe it'll work out, but it just seems like weird. Like, it's like you could have had Luca and Kyrie, and like this is they went to the finals, and like now you have like all this going on. Like, I don't know. Am I wrong? Like, I mean, isn't it weird?
What's up?
I mean, isn't it like strange, like everything that's been going on with AD and stuff like that, or and the trade with the Wizards, or like not
I mean,
really?
I just think that what the Wizards are doing is weird. Like it like signing AD and getting Trey Young from Atlanta. That sounds like they're going for an all-in push, but an all-in push is like what you do you know
Yeah, that's also a
when
bit
you're a
weird.
playoff contender or like a fringe playoff contender or something like that, and you're looking to go over the top. But
Uh,
this
Yeah,
is just like you suck. There's nothing else. I don't I don't know how else to describe it, but it's like you're building a house, right? And the entire structure is rotted, but you put like one plank of wood in the middle of the living room and
yeah,
expect it to
Trey
hold
Young
it
and
up.
Davis, and you're like, we're supposed to be good now, like I don't think
Yeah,
it's gonna work like that. But anywho, that's the trade deadline, I guess. A lot of buzz. Yeah, um, I
a
guess
lot
just to
of
wrap
buzz,
this,
not
yeah,
good enough.
a lot of buzz, not a lot of quality. I guess it's just like the part of the beauty of the NBA is everybody gets caught up in all these moves, and at the end of the day, like, does it really mean a lot? Like you saw what
No.
happened, like who made it to the finals last year, right? The Thunder and the Pacers teams actually built the right way. You know what I
And they're
mean?
gonna make it to the finals again too. The Thunder.
Yeah, Thunder like
They
erode.
just look like
Yeah,
world beaters.
I know they're really good. Maybe the Spurs like have a chance or somebody else in the West because the Spurs beat them like multiple times in the regular season. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Pistons look really good in the East. By the way, I mean they've been like on top the whole year. It's gonna be interesting, right? Like, I mean, then the
Well,
Boston's
the
definitely
East just stinks. They
yeah,
just
East is
stink.
horrible. I mean,
The
the Boston
East,
was supposed to have a bad year because without Tatum, they're 3rd. The Knicks are 2nd. They were expected to be very good this year. The Cavs are 4th. Can Detroit, like, or Cleveland really take that next step in the playoffs, though, is the question? Because otherwise, it could be a really good year for the Knicks if that's, like, it kind of seems like their runway, but Pistons are playing really good
yeah, but
basketball.
the Knicks are gonna run into a team that they're severely better than, somehow get really banged up, and then fall
Yeah,
fall apart later
fall
in the
apart.
series.
And the Cavs are probably gonna, like, do the same too because they, like, never win in the playoffs anymore apparently, so I don't know, it's bizarre, yeah. I don't know what's gonna happen. It seems like a good year for New York. I don't know if, the chips, like, fall the right way. Boston's in there, Cleveland, Detroit, I think those are the 4 teams you're looking at right
Well,
now,
Boston's not even that good.
but yeah, they're also not that great. They just kinda, like, been able to get wins, so I think you're really looking at like, it really could be a good year for either the Pistons or the Knicks. Maybe the Cavs now that they have James Harden, I'll like to see how that plays out. In the West, you have the OKC Thunder, or, obviously, you have the
If
teams
the
like the
Knicks make the
Rockets.
finals, they're gonna lose in like 5 games.
Yeah, that's true. Thunder the West
They're
is
not
always elite.
winning.
Yeah, you have, like, the
They
Thunder,
might
you have
make it there. They're not winning.
That's very true, yeah, but can they make it there, I guess, is the question, like, we'll see, but, yeah, OKC obviously is, probably gonna run it back, I mean, the West is a gauntlet. You have, like, the Spurs this year, like, with Wemby, with, their 3 guard lineup. You have the Nuggets with the Joker,
What
they've been
about
playing.
Dylan Harper?
Yeah,
Like,
Dylan Harper. You have the Houston in there. You have Kevin Durant's team there. You have Denver. I mean, you have guys like the Rockets. You have the Los Angeles Lakers. Like the West is always going to be a gauntlet. The Warriors are lurking in there. That's going to be a lot of fun. So I mean, definitely the West is kind of back to being the better conference in the NBA. And yeah, I mean, other than that, that's pretty much where we're at. All-Star breaks coming up for then too, and I think then we'll get more into it. I guess
yeah,
really quick, if you wanted to talk about like the NHL, like I'll leave that up to you because I know we talked about that like last on the last episode as well.
sure. So I'm just gonna have to slip that on right then and there. And then I'm just gonna have to point out that my Islanders beat your Devils for the fourth time in
So
a row, completing the season sweep over both the Rangers and the Devils. I understand that the Devils are not having a great season right now, but man, does it feel good to sweep your rival no matter who they are, you know?
yeah, I don't think they're a very good team, honestly. So
Oh no, the Devils are not a very good team.
and they're
I
also been
will say
injured all
though,
year.
very interesting what's going on in the playoff race right now is that first of all, the Avalanche just are running away with it. Like they have they have 3 games in hand on the person on the sorry. They have 3 games in hand on the second place team in the West, and they're still like 6 points ahead, 5 points ahead of the Wild. So they have all these games in hand on the Wild. Can you hear me? Think you
Yeah,
lost
yeah,
connection.
I can hear you. Yeah,
Okay. Um, they
gotcha.
have
There.
they have 3 games in hand on the Wild, and they're ahead by 5 points. Yeah, 5 points. So they're looking like they're just going to completely run away with the NHL. I mean, like the one interesting thing that I wanted to note, especially in the Western wild card, seems to be completely up for grabs. Essentially, I mean, everybody's like fighting for that last spot. But in the East, um, the East is like a very different picture because of the when you factor in the games in hand. Because right now, the Islanders are 2 games ahead of the Blue Jackets, but the Blue Jackets have 2 games in hand. Um, if the Blue Jackets were to pass the Islanders somehow, likely the Islanders would drop out of the playoffs completely or move into wild card two. But both wild card teams have a game in hand on the Islanders as well. So it's all the game in hand make it very interesting. Um, to see what's going on here. And then Pittsburgh, who the Islanders just beat, has 2 games in hand and one is 2 games in hand and 1 point above the Islanders. So it's so
Right.
interesting, like, how these games in hand are gonna come out to play, because if Columbus just goes and loses 2 in a row, then the Islanders are safe. But the problem is they're on a 9-1 heater in the last 10 games. So, we'll see how that all works out.
Yeah.
Um
It's like a lot going on there in
Oh,
the East.
absolutely. But Saturday, the 28th of February, that's gonna sorry, Thursday the 26th and Saturday the 28th are gonna be the 2 biggest games to highlight coming out of the All-Star break, and both of them involve the Columbus Blue Jackets. Um, their first game is against the Bruins. If they beat the Bruins, they close the gap to 1 game in the wild card spot, and then the second game I just named is against the Islanders, and I just told you, like, the Islanders are 2 games ahead
Right, right.
while the Blue Jackets have 2 games in hand. So
Yes.
it's gonna be very interesting to see how all that all unfolds.
Right,
But those
yeah.
are the 2 if you're gonna watch, like, any 2 NHL games with the intent of seeing something, like, dramatic happen, I think you're gonna wanna watch the Bruins versus the Blue Jackets and the Islanders versus the Blue Jackets coming out of the All-Star break.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. It's like a lot of standings talk at this point for the but yeah, definitely the Islanders, Blue Jackets. I mean, those are gonna huge definitely be huge games, for sure in the race. Especially because they have a few games in hand right now. Both on win streaks. But I think, yeah, I mean, we'll be on an NHL like All-Star, I mean not All-Star, Olympic break, I guess. So I think that's kind of replacing the All-Star thing this year, if I'm not mistaken. So like they're kind
Mhm.
of using that as the break. But in the meantime, I mean, we'll definitely pick up on all this stuff. Next episode probably have NBA Stanley, NHL, like Olympics talk, NBA All Star Weekend. Basically that kind of stuff. We'll recap the Super Bowl, obviously, but in the meantime, this has been another episode of Sports Vibe, and we will see you next time.